Ladies and gentlemen, my fellow reptiles, welcome to Facepalm Sunday, and I want you to take a look at this. Right there, what do you see? Well, to some feminists, you see sexual objectification, you see misogyny, you see sexism, you see a woman who is degraded on a comic cover. When this big debacle hit the news last year, Marvel Comics went under fire among feminists. More specifically, almost every single news outlet, including The Guardian, Slate, Entertainment, even Time magazine wrote about this variant cover of Spider-Woman. Now, for those of you who don't know what a variant cover is a cover that's done by a specific artist. It's usually worth more. Variant covers work like this. So you have a normal Spider-Woman comic. 500 issues are printed. Every 500 issues that are printed, a variant cover of the same comic, exact same comic, except the cover art is different. And rather than feminists, women, whoever you want to call them, sit back and take a nice thought process about the positions and statements that they're saying about this, they go on to say that this would never be the case in any comics. You would never see a man in this exact same position. Of course, if you read comics like myself, you would know that that's simply not true, and a common thing in comics is that they often make same types of covers from earlier comics in the past. And in this specific case, it is Spider-Man 30, which you can see Spider-Man is in the exact same pose as Spider-Woman. And the reason that I'm mentioning this isn't even about this cover today, but I wanted to start off with this to show you that there's a big debate among comics that feminists just love to attack comic books for that evil sexual objectification that you see here among a woman and a man. But, you know, let's just forget about Spider-Man ever being in that same position. What really matters is that the Spider-Woman is being presented in such an objectified manner, not Spider-Man. Now that I've shown you the blatant double standard there, let's take a look at this double standard right here. What do you see in this comic book cover? This is, again, a comic book variant which hasn't even been released. In fact, DC has pulled this comic variant because of the outcry from these feminists. Radical feminists. I don't know what I want to call them. You be the person to call them what you will. These feminists got this comic pulled. Why, you may ask? Well, don't you see in this photo? Don't you see all the fundamental problems that ultimately it means that the Joker is a rapist, a molester, a sexual abuser, a misogynist? Yes, ladies and gentlemen, I kid you not, these are the claims that are all over Tumblr, over Twitter, that these feminists are trying to portray this variant cover of Barbara Gordon, Batgirl, next to the Joker as being a implied molestation sexual abuser, and that this comic book somehow correlates to promoting violence against women. Now, for those of you who are unfamiliar with comics, this comic book variant is actually in reference to a very famous 1988 comic book series run known as The Killing Joke. In the present day, the Joker kidnaps Commissioner Gordon and imprisons him in a rundown amusement park and shoots and paralyzes his daughter, Barbara, aka Batgirl. His hunchmen then strip Gordon naked and cage him in the park's freak show. He chains Gordon to one of the park's ride and forces him to view giant pictures of his wounded daughter. Naked, hoping to drive Gordon insane in order to prove that the most upstanding citizen can go mad after having one bad day. Once Gordon has run the horrifying gauntlet, the Joker puts him on display in the freak show, ridiculing him as the averaging man, a naive weakling doomed to insanity. I simply can't get over this feminist sabotage of a simple variant cover which is displaying the relationship dynamic between Batgirl and the Joker. At what point are we going to give Batman equal treatment to that of Batgirl? I am absolutely sick of this feminist sabotage of what we know as art. Taking away not only freedom of expression, but taking away artistic ability to display relationships between different characters. Where are these exact same feminists when images like this are portrayed? Are we now going to say that Harley Quinn is now molesting, sexually abusing Batman because the cover art of Harley Quinn #1 is having him chained up and she's standing over top of him with a hammer? Does this comic somehow now promote domestic violence against men? Harley Quinn, the most notorious female villain in the DC universe, now an official rapist? Oh, no, not at all, because we have to overlook these types of covers in comics where it's the exact same type of relationship dynamic. Much less, here's another recent cover of Batman and the Joker. Why isn't this being talked about among feminists and women? Why is this not seen as a problem? But this cover of Barbara Gordon and the Joker is the biggest heated debate as of right now. This has gotten to the point where DC is not even going to publish this. The artist has actually issued an apology for offending people. For offending these stick-up-their-ass feminists who see anything that they don't like and automatically are offended and have to get it removed. If you are going to use this pathetic argument that a reference to a previous comic in which displays the relationship dynamic between two different characters is somehow a reflection of domestic violence and misogyny and sexual abuse, then you equally have to apply that same exact line of reasoning to every issue of comic where you see Batman, Superman, any other comic book character when he's stripped of his power in not only the comic book, but also the cover. Yes, the Joker is a twisted character, but in nowhere in comic history, in the DC universe, has the Joker ever raped someone, has it ever been implied sexual abuse. The Joker's twisted, and if he was to get off on something sexual, I guarantee you it probably wouldn't be raping someone. It'd probably be sex with dolls or mannequins. Although that's even more creepy now that I think about it. But nonetheless, art is subjective. And at what point do we decide that we stop removing art because you're simply goddamn offended?